Recent studies have shown that millennials are not saving enough for retirement. A millennial being someone from the age group of 18 to 37 years old. Carolee McGrath sat down with Matty, the president of St. Germain Investments in Springfield, and Matt Farkus, a portfolio manager and millennial, to talk about the numbers.
In a lot of ways, the millennial generation is different than previous cohorts, and I'm specifically talking about Gen X and the baby boomer generation. So the millennial generation really came of age during a tough period, during the Great Recession. So entering the job market during a really challenging period has set them behind previous cohorts in terms of the accumulation of assets. They tend to have less assets than previous generation at the same age. They tend to be earning less money. Their wages are less than previous cohorts at the same age. In addition, they face some challenges with student loan debt. There's more student loan debt now than ever before as well. So the average millennial household, 1 out of 2 millennial households currently has student loan debt. Compared to previous generations, Gen X is, I think, 1 out of 4, and baby boomers even worse than that, or better than that, I should say.
Right.
So it's certainly a challenging environment for the millennials in comparison to previous generations. So that requires really watching the budget closely and keeping close eye on expenses, as well as looking at different ways to generate additional income outside of a job.
Okay, so but when you're talking about millennials, you're talking about quite an age group. You're talking about 18 to 37. So the 18-year-old kid who's getting out of high school, maybe going to college, maybe getting a job, is not thinking about retirement. I mean, how do you even make that case to a kid that age?
Yeah, and I think it's really important when you talk about things like the millennials to realize that even within the millennials, as you say, there's some of these at the front end of it, those folks are almost old enough to be the parents of the ones at the back end of it. So they've been in the workforce for a decade or a decade and a half versus the kid who's just graduating high school or college. So again, within the generation even, there's a dramatic difference. But comparing it to prior generations, as Matt said, there's a lot of significant differences, but I think there's also some good rationale for some of that. For example, many more kids now go to college than it used to be. Well, of course, if you're going to go to college, guess what? Yeah, it's got to be paid for, so you've got more debt than prior generations tended to have, and less savings because you haven't had 4 or 5 years worth of working in addition. So it's always incredibly difficult to me to try and compare things over time. I always talk about, in the office, Matt and I will mention things like, when I was 25 years old, or younger than that, it was, graduated college, my dad came to me and said, oh, you better go out and get yourself a health insurance policy because health insurance is really expensive. Well, today you're covered until you're 26 under your parents' policy, et cetera. So it really is incredibly difficult to do comparisons over time. But I think if you look at the millennials overall, the ones that are at the older part of the generation are actually doing, I think, a better job of saving than the prior generations were.
Because they're more aware of it. I would think so, right? I mean, because you know what maybe your parents went through and maybe they didn't have enough saved, and I feel like it's always been talked about, retirement. So that 35 to 37 age group might be better off?
Yeah, I think they are. I think they're setting aside more money. I mean, we look at the older generation. I mean, for example, the baby boomers who are currently, some are retirement age, some are hitting retirement age. In 2019, the retirement age goes up another couple of months. It officially becomes 66 and a half. So many baby boomers are, approaching that, if not right there. Yet when we look at baby boomer savings, it's, this is not just a millennial issue. Boomers, a quarter of them have 0 retirement savings. A quarter of them have under $50,000 retirement savings, and a quarter of them have under $200,000 in savings. There's not a lot of money put aside by the boomers either. So this is not just a millennial issue. It's really, most people are pretty bad at saving. I think we like to always jump on the millennials and talk about it like somehow they're doing a much worse job than everybody else. But again, at the older end of the cohort, I think they're doing a better job than everybody else.
Let's talk about somebody who's 22 or 24, just getting out of college, okay? And they're going to get their full-time job, you hope. But maybe they don't have it yet. Maybe they're working a few part-time jobs and trying to figure out what they want to do. What do you say to them? Pay yourself first, save a little? I mean, how do you give them a strategy that will help them over time?
It's a good question. So if they have student loans, that's really a first place you got to take a close look at that. Is consolidation an option? Maybe perhaps lowering interest rate. That's something to really consider. But once that is dealt with, I certainly agree that you have to pay yourself in terms of saving for retirement. I think is something, the earlier you start, the better, because you have the longer period of compounding of interest. typically a good rule of thumb is if you can save 10% of your pre-tax salary every year. If you can do that consistently for decades, you're probably going to be in pretty good shape during your retirement years.
But a lot of people will say, okay, but I'm going to wait until my student loans are paid off. Well, that could, if you have $100,000 in student loans, I mean, that could take a while. So do you, have them just make small increments, in their savings account or in a 401k or something?
In general, if you can handle that, if you can pay off that high interest debt as quickly as you can, that's a good philosophy. But at the same time, you really have to keep an eye towards that retirement, which may be decades away. But just as I said earlier, the earlier you can save, the longer you have that period of compounding interest, and you'll be better off.
Okay.
So it's a balancing act.
One thing I think has happened significantly over the past 20 or 30 years. Again, when I started in the workforce, there were still traditional pensions and 401ks were sort of being introduced. These days, everybody has a 401k. And it used to have to be, when you started, you had to opt into the 401k. A lot of employers now have it where you're automatically enrolled in the 401k and have to opt out if you don't want to be a participant. And I think it's really important, not just from a dollar and cents standpoint, but I think when you're 22 years old, to be thinking a little bit about retirement by putting some of the money into the 401k, but because some money of yours is going into there, you're going to have to start to look at things like, what are my savings options within the 401k? Gee, is there a match? And all these things that you didn't tend to think about when you had to decide to be in it. Now you're in it, and so you better start making some choices within it. And I think it just gets you thinking about it a lot more than, again, used to be the case.
And you can certainly see that, like a 23-year-old, and I'll say kid, is not thinking about that, just got out of college, trying to find a job, maybe they're looking for an apartment. There was a report released several months ago by the National Institute on Retirement Security that showed 2/3 of millennials have nothing saved. So I know, again, we're talking about a big group, but certainly, as they get older in that age group, that's a big concern.
Well, correct, but again, a quarter of baby boomers have nothing saved either.
Right.
And so it's not surprising to me that a 20-year-old or 22-year-old has.
No, but by the time you're in your 30s and you really have to start, even for kids getting out, and I keep saying kids and adults, young adults getting out of, grad school. Maybe they're getting out of med school. They're just starting to get their life together. How do you make up for that lost time? Like, so if you have nothing saved, I mean, how do you make up for that?
It really comes down to really honing in on your budget and doing what you can. If you have student loans, kind of arranging it as best as you can to pay down your student loans at a pretty good clip, but at the same time keeping an eye towards retirement. So, for example, do what you can to at least get your employee match if you're on your 401k, because if you don't do that, you're kind of leaving money on the table, free money on the table.
Okay, how much do millennials need? Let's say an 18-year-old. How much is that 18-year-old going to need to retire? It's a big number, right?
It's a very big number because it's not just the fact that life expectancies are lengthening out, but it's also a matter of how many more healthy years you have than you used to have. So oftentimes now you go back again 50 years ago when somebody who was in their 70s or early 70s was very old. We have a gentleman in our office now who's out this week getting a new hip put in, and he's planning on going out and doing some hikes up in the White Mountains after he recuperates and things. So that's not things that you really thought about 50 or 60 years ago. So you have a lot of healthy years still to be able to travel, to be able to, be expected to maybe help out with grandkids' educations and, still go out to eat and so on and so on. So there's still a lot, there's a lot more dollars required for retirement now, I think, than there used to be, because solely, due to how much more time and how much more healthy time we have.